Hi everyone. We're going to use Google Maps to take a screenshot, transfer to GeoGebra, and then use that to do some area measurements. So I'm looking here at Fernvale State School. The boundary runs along the Brisbane Valley Highway, along Forest Hill Road. There's a fence line runs along the back of these buildings to around about that corner, into here, across there, and then straight down there through the trees back to the Brisbane Valley Highway. So what we want to make sure we do is capture that screenshot including the scale marker in the corner, which is most important. Now just open up my snipping tool and we'll grab hold of what we need. So I've got the scale marker in the corner, I've got all of the parts of the image that I want, so there it is. I'll switch over into GeoGebra, and now that's automatically on my clipboard, so I've pasted it in here. Now at this point I can move this around. Notice that there's a point A and a point B down here attached at the corners of the image. If I approach, then did you see how that snapped into place there on the origin? And I can drag point B anywhere I like, but I'll try to stick along the x-axis. And every time I get close to one of these corners, it snaps into place. What I'm trying to do is make sure that that 50-meter scale marker is the same length as 5 units on my grid. Now 5 units would be only from say 85 to 90, that's too big. I need to bring this back quite a way. Now there's a little bit of going backwards and forwards here. I'll zoom in slightly and I'll start to see whether, so that's just above 45, but that's now below 50, so I went too far. It's a little bit of playing around. There's a couple of tricks we can use to try and help. Now what I will do at this stage is click on the image. It brings up this menu. If I go to the settings, which is the 3 dots there, then the settings, I can use the color tab to reduce the opacity of the image. Now that helps because I can start to see the grid lines underneath the image to see whether that actual 50-meter marker is 5 grid units long. So if I zoom in, I'll start to see here, and I can drag this to make it more convenient too. I can drag that onto the 50 there, and then this one here is just a little bit above 55. Of course, as I zoom in, it gets a little bit blurry because it was a screenshot. Now I'm pretty happy with that because the 50 grid line seems to be running through the middle of that white tab and the 55 through there. So I have 5 units on my grid representing 50 meters. That's nice. And before anything goes wrong, I'll just lock that corner A back into there. Now I don't want to accidentally change the scale of my image. So I will do a right click on the image and then press here Fix Object. Now if I try to drag the object around, it doesn't move anymore. I can even make the point A and the point B disappear by clicking on those icons so that I can't accidentally move them. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now what I need to do is go back to my settings, back to the color, and I can bring some of that color in the image back up again now that I know that I've got the right scale. I have menus over here, one of which is the tool menu. And inside the tool menu are lots of things. If I find the right one, polygon. Sometimes the polygons aren't available. You see how I've got a less at the bottom there? Occasionally when you open it up, it's just got the basic tools. So sometimes you won't find what you need. You have to press the More button, and then you can find the polygon tool. And that's what we're going to use. Now I'm using the mouse wheel to zoom in. I might start from this corner here. So I'll zoom in and I'm going to click into the corner here. Because the polygon tool is selected, it marks a spot. Remember, point A and B were already used, so it starts with C. And then I'm going to move across to there. Oh, I'm not doing this very well, am I? I can't see the top corner anymore. Okay, everything's going wrong. So what I'll do is I will press escape, and that happens sometimes. And I'll recenter my image, and this time I won't worry about zooming. I'll just try to click the corners as best I can from the view I'm seeing here. Alright, I select the polygon tool again. I'll start from that corner. Now I won't try to zoom in or out. The fence line runs along here to the road, along the road to this corner, just beyond the buildings to about there, into this corner, up to the back of there. Looks like a cricket pitch in the middle of that oval. And now it's important that I click back on the original point, and that completes the polygon. Now that the polygon's complete, remember I still have the polygon tool selected. I want to go and check this arrow here, which is my general purpose cursor where I can move and drag. I can also zoom in, and now that the points are there, I can gradually, very slightly adjust the points. Now that's the mistake I made last time. I tried to zoom while I was using the polygon tool. Again, as I zoom in, things are going to get a bit blurry. It looks like the corner is there, but it's a bit of a trade-off. If you zoom in too far, you're going to make everything a blurry mess. So that's a good measurement. It's an approximation. So that line there looks like it's running into the buildings. Let me just check that one. That corner looks like it might be in a little bit too far there. That's probably a bit better, because it seems to be now coming along the edge of the buildings. So now that I've got a polygon, what can I do with the polygon? I can click anywhere inside the polygon, and now I can use this menu here to show the value of the polygon. The value of this polygon, which means its area, is 555.272. Now that is in whatever these grid units are here, so that's a length of 5. But remember, a length of 5 on this grid represented 50 meters in real life. So my scale is actually one grid unit is 10 meters. So I'll grab my calculator here. If the area is 555.272, now remembering that area is a length times a width, so I'm going to have to go my 10 meter scale factor squared, and this gives me an area in meters of 55,527.2. I'm probably a bit ambitious to include these. I think I'd round that to the nearest 100 and say the area of that school is 55,500, rounded to the nearest 100, or 55.5 hectares. So that's a simple way that we can do this. Of course, if I go to Google Maps itself, and if I do a right click on Google Maps, there is a measure distance tool. So I've selected that. I'm going to try and repeat the process here with Google Maps. Now, I'll click on that corner, I'll go down to the highway, I'll go across to the boundary of the school and click back where I started there. Now this tells me the area that I just enclosed is 54,500 rounded off, or 54.5. My calculation over here gave 55.5. That's fairly close agreement for this method, considering how blurry the image was. So that's the demonstration. I hope that has helped with the project that you're working on, and you can apply these same techniques to the space that you're trying to measure. Thanks for watching.